Happy birthday, Nancy Drew. I got this like happy birthday thingy to hang, but it's too big to fit in like the frame, so I'm not gonna do it, but I did extend the effort. Today is April 28th, which means it is the 90th anniversary of the publication of the first Nancy Drew mystery story, The Secret of the Old Clock. I guess it would really be like her 109th birthday, since I think in the first book she's like 19. That's weird to think of. Nancy Drew, of course, is the iconic heroine of American literature. The Nancy Drew book series continues to this day. It's lasted 90 years, which is crazy. Of course, Nancy is famous from her books, but I know a lot of people, myself included, first came to know of her through the computer games by Her Interactive. I'm gonna sneeze. Thank you. I used to play these games all the time with my mom as a kid. Because they're really hard, and also as a kid I found a lot of their settings and stories really scary, and I couldn't play them by myself. I swear to you, it's the Nancy Drew games that got me to enjoy horror games as an adult. I'm telling you, some of these have like solid jump scares and like genuinely creepy atmospheres. So in honor of Nancy's 90th birthday, I thought I would take a look at the first 5 games in the Nancy Drew series. If you go on my writing blog, which you shouldn't because it's full of cringy things like Mary Poppins ex-reader and coming out to the Robbins headcanons, I have this series that I've been slowly tooling on where I play all of the games in chronological order, and for each game I play I come up with like a themed snack / meal, and then I review it. I thought I'd do a variation on that now. These first couple of ones I don't actually own physically, I only own them digitally, so that's why I'm not yanking them out of the pile. Okay, so the first game in the series is Secrets Can Kill. This game came out in 1998, but it was remastered in 2010. They added 3D models, they made it to where like you can play it. Some of the older ones you just straight up can't play. I know they changed the ending, so I'm going off of the remaster that I played. I've never played the original 1998 version that had like 2 discs. This game isn't like the worst thing I've ever played, but it's not fun. The plot of this game is that Nancy has gone to Florida to stay with her Aunt Eloise so she can help the local police department by going undercover at this high school where a boy named Jake Rogers was recently murdered. I don't have that many things to say about it. It's been forever since I played it, so I don't remember anything about it, which is very telling in and of itself. The cast of suspects is mostly, It's kind of a mystery in the sense of the way I write mysteries, and I'm not very good at writing mysteries. Like, I don't know why the police needed Nancy to solve this mystery for them. Like, Jake knew who was going to murder him beforehand, and so he left all of these really obvious clues in the form of like riddles. It's very time consuming to solve this mystery, but it's not like hard. The game is also very short. I remember when I went to play it, I got myself some lunch and I got myself a dessert. I got a key lime pie, and I was looking forward to eating that key lime pie. And I finished this game before I even finished my sandwich. Also, I know that the series like changed head writers in between the early era and the 2010s era, and there's like wildly different tones to those eras. You're here staying with your eccentric aunt whose home security system involves, if you put in the password to her safe wrong too many times, a Wile E. Coyote style cage just falls from the ceiling and traps you. And these kind of like goofy Hanna-Barbera elements seem really weird in a game where you're solving the murder of a teenager who was killed over drugs and extortion. I was really disappointed when I played this one. I remember as a kid, whenever you installed a Nancy Drew game, the installation screen, because back then it took like 20 minutes to install games. Now these suckers just install like that. But those installation screens would last like 20 minutes, and you'd get like a montage of all the games in the series, all their cover arts. And the cover art for Secrets Can Kill was like this creepy pair of mean eyes staring at you from the other side of a bookshelf. And it scared the piss out of me. And it looked like, oh wow, Secrets Can Kill. It's probably one of the scariest in the series. It even has the word kill in it. But overall, it's pretty unmenacing and just kind of blah. Would I play this one again? No. I gave this game a 3 out of 10, which I Yeah, I'd still say that's fair. I did, however, on my writing blog, this is the only Nancy Drew game that I wrote a prequel one-shot fan fiction to. So next up is number 2, Stay Tuned for Danger. This game came out in 1999. It is near impossible to play. When I uploaded my little review thing on my blog, I got like random people messaging me being like, how did you get it to play? For one, I play all my Nancy Drew games on this like ancient XP laptop that my family just had lying around, and all these like old as shit games run really well on it. Look how pretty my notes were for Stay Tuned for Danger. There's this long-standing tradition in Nancy Drew games where Nancy goes to visit or stay with some character who has like such an obscure relation to her.
Dear Ned, remember Sally McDonald, the woman who took those photos that Dad has up in his office? Well, she just bought a house in Moon Lake, Pennsylvania.
So in this particular game, Nancy is going to stay with Maddie Jensen, a soap opera star, just for a fun trip to New York. While visiting the set, she learns that a series of death threats have been sent to Maddie's co-star Rick Arlen, and here recently there's been some attempts on his life via sabotages on set in the studio. So Nancy's got to find out who in the studio is trying to mess stuff up. I really like this game. It was very cute. I like that the studio itself has like a lot of personality, and everyone from the directors to the agents to the owner of the building has like an eccentric personality and backstory. Puzzles are fun. I like the mystery. There's a bit of menace to it. Like at one point Nancy has to defuse a bomb. There's several times in this game where she just has to break into places. The animation is so bad in like a genuinely very endearing way to me. I find it so funny that when you go through Maddie's apartment, you can go look at pictures of her that are clearly just like normal human people, and then this like awful 90s CGI head photoshopped in the midst of normal people. My only real critiques with this game are the temperamental play. Obviously these are like point and click adventure games, so you're not like moving around like you would a regular game now. In the studio, when Nancy's walking down the hall, she can only turn right. So if you're in an area and you know that there's something directly to Nancy's left that you need to click on or access, too bad. You have to do the full 360, turn all the way right. When you walk upstairs, you can't turn around to walk back down them. You just back up down the stairs. I rated it a 5 out of 10. I feel like that's a little mean. I'd probably give it like maybe a 6 or a 7. I feel like if I replayed it and I just knew the puzzles now, it would make for a more like easy breezy playthrough, and it could be a lot more enjoyable. It was a very cozy game. I really like Stay Tuned for Danger. Number 3, Message in a Haunted Mansion. I actually did not finish this game in my last playthrough, so I'm just gonna have to wing this one. In this, Nancy goes to San Francisco to visit her maid's best friend who's opening a bed and breakfast and having a hard go of it because it's freaking haunted. Kind of your classic like Scooby-Doo plot, like, oh no, I might have to shut down my business because the place is haunted. And Nancy's like, this one's gonna be short because again, I didn't finish it and I don't remember, but I do remember the one thing I liked the most about this game was through the exploration of all the hidden rooms and the puzzles, you start to realize the secret history of the building that nobody knew about. That's a common theme, I think, in a couple of Nancy Drew games. Finding out the secrets of people who died a long, long, long time ago, you know, unearthing rooms that haven't been touched in 60 years. I love that kind of stuff. Very cool. That little voice that goes, I see you, when you're on the staircase gets me every time. All the other hauntings are kind of silly. That's the only one that's like, because it's not like a super dramatic thing. And it's not even like a spooky ghost voice. It's just a normal man, like really loud, but yet still speaking softly. I see you. It's so spooky. Don't like it. If I had to rate it based on what little I played of it, I guess like a 7 out of 10. I didn't not finish it because it wasn't good. I didn't finish it because I got busy, and then at that point it had been like a couple months and I was like, I'm gonna have to just replay the whole thing because I don't remember where I was, but I didn't want to do that, so I just moved on to the next game. Number 4, Treasure in the Royal Tower. I do physically have this game, but it's in like one of the collections. Now we're on to some hot takes. This game is a lot of people's like number 1. It's in a lot of people's like top 3, top 5 Nancy Drew game. It's a big fan favorite. I have never liked this one. Full disclosure, this game's never really done anything for me. This is actually the first game on this list that was a game that I owned as a kid. All these other ones I only played for the first time while doing this series on my writing blog, and I remember this was my least favorite one. I found it the most boring. I found it difficult. Like, I found it impossible to do. I couldn't even get through like the first challenge of the game, which I don't remember what it is, but replaying it, it's so easy, and I don't know how I could have missed it. So let me back up. Let me say what it's about. So Nancy has this friend who owns this like castle getaway in Wisconsin. It's this old castle that used to belong to this eccentric inventor, Ezra Wickford, who invented chocolate milk. The castle is like this eccentric building made up of the like deconstructed and reconstructed parts of other castles and buildings from all over the world. Famously, the tower, which belonged to a villa that was owned by Marie Antoinette. According to urban legend, there's a treasure there. And there's been some mysterious happenings at the castle. The library was ransacked. I think that's the only thing. And Nancy's like, the library's been ransacked. I bet somebody's trying to get that treasure. Also, they're snowed in, so she's got nothing better to do than find out who's trying to get the treasure. Can you tell, like, I don't find this mystery that engaging. I don't hate this game in any way. It's just kind of dull to me. I hear people like absolutely fawn over the settings, how like beautiful the castle is, how much they love the garden. I don't know. It just, to me, the castle looks very washed out, and I don't find it to be very visually interesting. I can tell, like, on paper they had this idea for this Winchester Manor style house with all these dead ends, with rooms that are all like collected from different castles, and it's all mushed together into this like eclectic place, but it all just feels very like drab and bland. I do really like the little subplot with Mr. Egan and him coming to terms with his relationship with his deceased father, which did not end on good terms whenever he ran away as a child. I understand why there would be such a convoluted like 12-step process to get into the tower, but when you actually get to the tower, there's like 2 other things that you need to get before you can access the secret compartment or whatever it was. So you have to consistently keep backtracking, and there's no like shortcut that you get once you've done your due diligence and you've gone through the very, very arduous process of getting through this tower. I must have made the trip back up there like at least 20 times, and I swear to you, like, it takes like 4 full minutes. However, this game will always hold a special place in my heart because it is the first Nancy Drew game I have ever played, and the only one at this point, where I did not need to access a walkthrough. I did it all by myself, so that's fun. I gave this one a 5 out of 10. I think that's fair. Okay, last one, number 5, the final scene. Nancy Drew comes to St. Louis to visit her reporter friend Maya, who has scored an interview at this derelict historical theater that is due to be demolished in like 3 days. While we're waiting outside, we hear her scream. Nancy runs in, and her friend has been kidnapped. We get a call, and there's like a spooky voice on the other line saying, if this theater goes down in 3 days, this girl goes with it. I don't have a lot to say about this game because it's just good. It's just good. It's weird because this game, again, was one of the ones I had as a kid. To compare and contrast with Treasure in the Royal Tower, this was also a game that me and my mother could never figure out. We would get past the part where Maya gets kidnapped, which is very exciting and scary, and then we would interview everybody, and then we would get totally lost. We really couldn't advance very far in the game at all. I think the reason that didn't work against the game for me back then was because it was still an exciting premise. Where's Maya? We gotta help her. As opposed to like Treasure in the Royal Tower, where I guess somebody made a mess in the library and I gotta find out who did it. One of the things I really love about this game is that Nancy, who throughout the games doesn't have the best social graces, is just like full on rude to people for no reason. Her friend's about to die. She doesn't have time to be nice. The Royal Palladium Theater is really pretty. I love, again, just like Message in a Haunted Mansion, there's a whole buried history there about like Houdini and like bad business practices, and it's all these secret passageways. I remember as a kid also, I think I found this game relaxing because the phone conversations you have in this game versus almost every other one I've played are very long. Characters speak in these giant chunks of dialogue, And as a kid, I think I found that kind of relaxing. It was like sitting back and watching a movie. As an adult replaying it, I was a little less patient. I gave this game an 8 out of 10. Probably give it a 9 or an 8.5. It's good. This is probably the best one on the list in my opinion. And those are my thoughts. Those are my thinks. I originally had a different idea for a video to do for Nancy's 90th birthday, but it didn't really work out. So I hope this was entertaining. Happy birthday, Nancy. Also, can I say that these early games have this infuriating habit of leaving around phone numbers, like flyers with phone numbers, or people's pocketbooks that have phone numbers with names on them. These games have like calling people as an investigative feature. Like I have so many just bunk numbers written down in my notes from when I play, because I think I'm supposed to call them. But I'm not calling out any game in particular, but that's a thing.